Your favorite toy truck nerds are back. Welcome to That Scale RC Show.
Hey everybody, welcome back to That Scale RC Show. I have no idea what number we're on because Travis isn't here with us tonight. He is
118.
Injured. Never mind, he's there, but he's only joining us for the important facts, and then he'll disappear.
All right, goodbye.
Goodbye.
Yeah, he's making sure we don't screw it up.
Oh, well.
We'll wait.
In that case.
Hey, well, you can always start over since he, is going to edit all this.
Nah, I won't do that to him. Plus, I have no fear of people finding out how terrible we really are. So, you went and did a comp this weekend.
I wouldn't call it a comp. It was definitely an event. So, I've mentioned it before on the show. There is an event series called Scale Challenge West. It was an idea that started with Elio Deanda, and a lot of you know him. He's been on the show before. He's also the other half of 2 Chainz, which we've talked about on the show numerous times. And with the decline in events, especially scale events in Northern California, he wanted to do something to kind of bring back the whole scale aspect, kind of like what all these events that, we go to now, Axial Fest, Proline by the Fire, Autism Awareness Crawl, which, is no longer happening anymore. But all those events have the same thing in common. They want a place where you can get together, you can run trail, have a good time with your friends, and, just get back to that kind of atmosphere. So he came up with the brainchild of Scale Challenge West, and it's basically a whole group effort. I'm going to pull up, and I know I'll probably end up butchering names, but it's actually like a group effort. So Elio, he's the mastermind behind it all. But also we have Clint Winship, Dean Hassar, Rick Mercado, Sean Michael Moore, myself, Dan Shembri, and now we also have Sean's son Gage also helping. And it's just like a fun little event that we're trying to not like overwhelm, because it's a lot. Like what people don't realize doing these events is you got to come up with location. Then you got to think about, okay, what are the amenities, there? Like, are you going to be able to, like, are there bathrooms? What are people going to do for lunches? And it's like there's a whole process that we have to go through when we're picking these locations. So I think the first one, I believe the first 2 were at Folsom. Then we did 2 at Cisco Grove. Or I take it back, right outside of Cisco Grove. It was more like on the Fordyce Trail. And then this time, so this was the 5th event, we upped it to Donner Ski Ranch. So if anybody is familiar with Northern California that's listening, Donner Ski Ranch hosted Axial Fest 2021 and 2019. Because 2020 we had COVID and everything, went haywire. But there was Axial Fest at Donner for both those years, and they have killer terrain. So Elio reached out to Donner, and they said, yeah, we have no problem with you guys doing an event, and it's actually pretty cool. Donner's got 2 price points, and I might have the one information a little wrong. I've heard the number like once or twice, but we rented the lower section, which was kind of like by the parking lot. And if you were there for 2021, where they had the rock bouncing course, that's like the lower section of Donner. It was $800 for the day, and that covers insurance and all that fun stuff. And they also have the bar is open during this whole time, so you could go get lunch. If you got there, early, you can get breakfast. Stayed all the way to dinner, you can have dinner. You can, completely just not even worry about food at all because the bar's open. And we just thought it was great that for $800, you have a location and you have insurance covered all in one. So that was rental and insurance. But if you wanted to go big and rent the whole mountain, I believe Elio said it was $3,000. Don't quote me, but I believe it was like $3,000. But the same thing, covers all the insurance, everything, and you basically have the whole mountain to yourself. So Donner, it's no wonder that people use Donner for an event because they make it easy and the terrain's killer. So being that it is now October, second week of October, it was a little chilly, because Donner's at like 8,000 feet. So it was like, I want to say it was like 48, 49 degrees when we pulled up at about 9:30 in the morning. And then by about noon, it got up to about like 55, 56. So it did warm up a little bit, but it was very windy that day. But nonetheless, the trail was awesome. It had a little bit of everything. You had the granite, you had some of the, just like the dirt in between all the granite formations, a little bit of water, and there were some gnarly winch lines, I guess you could say. So that's the other thing that Elio is trying to kind of focus on, is like getting back to a little bit more scale. So when you go to some of these, I guess trail obstacles, like when you get to certain parts of the trail, there's actually a winch point at the top. So you can go ahead and try crawling up it. It's very steep, technical line. But don't be afraid to hook your winch up to it and pull yourself up. And it still makes for great content, a great time. So there was like, I think 2 winch points on that trail. And then also, if you've been following Elio, he's big on the scale buildings. So he busted out, because over the years we've been helping out with, like, back when we did the Cantina with CKRC, when it was at Rubicon, we used to bust out all like the scale mining stuff, the abandoned, mining shafts and all that stuff. So he had that on trail. There's a couple bridges on trail. He had his Axial Fest 2018 sign that he did for Cisco. He had that, like, it was like an abandoned, like, you're just coming up on it, like there's like a scaled tree, like he found like a tree branch, laid it over it, so it looked like it's been abandoned. So that was pretty cool. So there's a ton of cool little photo ops throughout the whole entire trail, and we had, I think, a total of 75 people on this event, which was pretty, which is pretty cool for, I don't want to say it's a get together because it is an event, but it's not like a huge event like Axial Fest or Pulling by the Fire yet. There are talks about that. Elio's really wanting to put, like, pick like a month and say that's going to be the Scale Challenge West month, and we're going to have a bigger event where it could be like a 2-day event. You want to camp, that kind of thing. So we're still exploring, because this is still very new. This is the fifth event. So there's still some, small things to work through. But I mean, we had one family came down from the Oregon coast, and we had 2 of the guys from Rock Pirates come all the way up from SoCal just for this event. And also, not to exclude, we had RC Review, which I believe they're a little south from me, from San Jose. They drove up for the day, and they had a cool little video review. So if you go pop on their YouTube, you can watch their review on this event. But yeah, I mean, for what we're trying to accomplish, what Elio's trying to accomplish, I think we're starting to hit the nail on the head. It's starting to get some traction, and that's kind of just what we want. We want to just, get people back to having some sort of a local NorCal event that they can go and enjoy. Kind of similar to the same style-ish of Crawlers and Coffee down in Corona Del Mar. We're doing like a kind of like every other month kind of thing, so we don't burn ourselves out. And right now we're taking November and December off, obviously, because we have the holidays coming up and everything. And plus it's starting to get really cold up in the mountains. So in January, Elio wants to get it up and running again. So we will be back at Folsom in January. The dates has not been released yet. So I'll share it on our podcast page as well as personal pages, and it'll be shared on Scale Challenge West. It's on Facebook and Instagram. And without rambling on too much about it, I mean, it was just great. I mean, nothing but good news and good reviews on this trail. I think this one's by far has to be one of the better trails that has been, constructed for the Scale Challenge West.
Nice.
So, yeah.
It looked amazing with all the props and stuff on the trails and bridges. And it's just like, that's the exact kind of thing that I geek out over. It's so much fun.
Oh yeah. It's a ton of fun. And like I said, because being that, scale is the key, you're always going to see all that scale detail, the buildings, the bridges, the props, just like all kinds of stuff. And it's going to be constantly growing. So, like I know Dan missed out on this event, but he was going to be building some scale cabins. I think he got like, I don't know if they're 1/10, but he got some decent sized scale cabins that he was going to put together for this event, but just wasn't able to make it. So we're just trying to grow that whole, scale persona again.
That's awesome.
So yeah, a lot of fun. And like I said, I think that's really about it. There's not much more. I don't want to beat a dead horse, but if anybody's interested, if you're in the NorCal area, or even if you're willing to make a drive, I mean, being that the next one's going to be at Folsom, which is going to be an hour and a half down the hill from Donner. If you want to come up from, let's say, the Bay Area or a little south of the Bay Area, and you want to come out for some fun, January will be the next one. So
awesome.
But yeah.
So what's the format like? Do you just like, how does it work?
It's straight up run what you brung. So there's no like, if obviously being the name Scale Challenge West, this is more for your time to show, like, to show off your scale builds and try and run some of your scale stuff. But I mean, people run Capras, Bombers. We had a couple of the new RC 4-wheel drive, the U4 truck, the Miller truck. Yeah. So there's a couple of those out there. I mean, it's a total family orientated, which I kind of forgot to mention. Elio's also going to kind of do this. I think like every other or every third event, he's trying to do a raffle. So I know at the last event at Scale Challenge West number 4 at Cisco, he did a raffle because FMS donated like 3 or 4 rigs, some swag and some other stuff. So there was there were some cool raffle prizes for that. And then this one, Elio wanted to give back, and kind of get the kids involved. So he gave a Phoenix out to a kid who didn't have a car. There's only like 3 or 4 of them. So it was actually easy to pull the raffle ticket. And that kid was stoked. Like, he thought he, won the lottery. He was like,
oh, I bet.
So, and then he also this one, he added a poker run. So the first, second, and third place of the poker run got wheels, tires, and some Vanquish swag. So,
wow.
Yeah. So, like I said, he's really stepping it up. He's trying to like get people involved. And of course, we know not to like bash on anything or take anything away, but the raffles is what brings the bigger crowds, because they know if they're getting something, they make it worth it. But yeah, I mean, it's a total. So like I said, back to the whole format thing, it's just run what you brung. I mean, I ran my Capra, the K20 Capra, which, I mean, that thing is just becoming like my go-to trail truck, because it's like Elio started me on that. He saw my Capra, saw how well it performed. Then he took it to the next level and put the TJ body on his. And then he's like, you got to do a Chevy. So then he did the Ford Super Duty. And that's when I said, okay, I'll do it. I'll do the Chevy. So then I made the Chevy version, and it's just like, it's performance based, but you're doing just enough scale to it where it's like believable. Like you can still kind of be like, yeah, that kind of looks to scale. Mm-hmm. So it's a lot of fun. And then I also busted out, which I have not driven in 5-6 years. I think Axial Fest 2018 was the last time I drove it. I brought out Rusty Nuts, my Chevy tow truck, my first like super crazy scale build that I ever did with Elio. We did that thing in like a night. Like I think we stayed up to like 2 a.m. I got there at like, I don't know, noon the day before the event. And he's like, yeah, let's just fab this thing up. And I mean, we were up to like 1, 2 a.m. fabbing it up. And then I drove it the next day at a G6. So that was a fun build. But yeah, I haven't driven that thing in like years. So I'm like, all right, let's bust it out. So I did, and got a couple cool shots. I think that was actually that was the picture you chose for this week's announcement that we're recording. So it was nice to get that rig out. But it's kind of funny too, because that is technically an SCX 10 original, like not it. So it's an OG SCX 10. So it's like, just like the build, like the style of build versus like what you run now just totally changes. It's just funny to see, because it's like I got the BPC forward battery tray. I got the Vanquish CMS kit, because back then everything was on axle. Yeah. So it was just it's just funny to see how like your builds have changed over the years. And of course now, back then brushed was still just like everybody just ran brushed. Like, I mean, a couple people ran brushless. It's just brushless hadn't made that jump into being as robust and affordable back then. And now it's like every rig I have has a brushless system in it. So when you pull that out and you're like, whoa, like it's kind of funny to be crawling with something like it's brushed. So you're like, it just to have the feel. It's just interesting. But anyways, yeah, I was happy to get that out because I got some killer shots with that.
Rad. I never got to do a Recon G6. That's something that I had always wanted to check out.
Well, see, and that's the cool thing. So like, I guess you can almost say that that's another inspiration to what Elio's trying to do. Is the Recon G6 started out very similar to what Elio's doing. You go to the event. It was kind of like just going on like a scale expedition kind of thing, and there'd be a trail. And the thing with the G6 was most of them were always they were like themed, like they were, like there was always a theme to the G6. So we're not really doing a theme with any of it, but that style of having a scale trail that you can traverse, it's very similar.
That's awesome.
Maybe now you need to make the drive down and hit one of these.
Yeah, that would be super fun.
So
that'd be way cool.
Maybe hit the next time, because he definitely wants to do Donner again. So maybe next year when we do Donner.
Yeah, I would love to check out Donner. So I've never had the chance to be at that place before.
Yeah, no, it's the granite. So NorCal granite, if people have crawled the NorCal granite, it's like an entirely different animal. It's like you go, okay, so like Moab is known for like that deserty rock, like, like the sandstony rock, like that it's got its own unique, texture to it. That's how the NorCal granite is. It's its own texture. It's like you don't really see this anywhere else. So it's like it's super grippy. But some areas like closer to the water, it can be super slippery. So It's like you can find, you can be crawling up 1 minute and you're like, oh yeah, the tires hook up and you make it no problem. And then you get a little wet and you're just sliding all over the place.
Yep.
So a lot of fun.
I like conditions like that, though. I like it when it's realistic and messy and, there's no traction or whatever, because it depends on the weather that day and stuff. I mean, like the real world conditions with RC is something that I really, really enjoy.
Yeah.
Even rainy days up here, like, honestly, the rain doesn't really deter me all that much in the wintertime because it's still fun.
Well, see, and that's the other thing too. Elio also wants to do like a snow run, but that one's going to be very like kind of like sporadic. It's going to be snow dependent, number one, and number two, he's like wants to see people running like snow chains and tracks and all that stuff if you have it. So that there might be like a small like get together kind of run with that. So be on the lookout for that as well.
That'd be fun.
But yeah, well, I mean, the last time we tried it, it was just funny because it's like we just couldn't find that happy medium with the snow. It's like if you went up too high, it was too deep, and if you went too low, it was like kind of like melted. So it's just we didn't that 1 year we just never really quite found the perfect, snow conditions for scale cars.
Yeah.
So
it's hard too because I mean I've only been able to do, I think, one snow run here, and it was like really, really wet, heavy snow. And you got going a lot better than I figured you would, but it was still like very dependent on, what the snow is like was going to determine how your drive is.
Yeah. No, I hear you. And that's exactly like what happened. It's like, the snow is very tricky because if it's too soft or it's like too deep, you can't run your cars because you're just going to dig. You're just going to like just go down. And if it's like too low in the elevation, it's going to be like that hard half like melted snow. So it's like you got to find that perfect happy medium.
Yeah, like 1 or 2 inches of fresh on frozen ground would be ideal. That would be awesome. So, yeah, keep an eye out for that. But yeah, that's pretty much it. And the other thing too is at every event there's a donation booth, or a box. So if you want to donate, because this is coming out of like the majority of it's coming out of Elio's pocket, but we all pitch in where we can. Especially like for this last one, we all pitched in for the most of us pitched in for to cover the fee. Yeah. So, which is nice.
Yeah. So I think like out of like the whole group, we were able to get like, I think a little over $500 of that covered. So,
oh, nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cause he's got a ton of materials expense and stuff with all the buildings and,
oh yeah,
hauling everything there. And I mean, it's that putting on events like that, it is not a cheap endeavor.
Oh, no, not at all. And that's what people don't realize. I mean, like, even if you look at like the big events, like Axial Fest, they go up the week before the event, set trail, make sure everything's ready, set up banners, set up, whatever they have to set up as far as like advertisement, whether that's banners, pop-ups, flags, trail markers, whatever, it all takes time. And then also, where does that all come from? You gotta, I know some of it, like their advertisement they have, but the trail flags, all that stuff, the trail markers, those are all, made every year for the, the event. So yeah, just like that, there's a lot of expense that goes into, getting everything up there. organizing it, doing it, cutting trail. So yeah,
that's awesome though that he's put him and the crew is putting together these events for people. That's something important that's missing from the scene, because that's always something that brings everybody together and always generates a lot of excitement. And it's just, I don't know, I think stuff like that's an important part of Scale RC scene.
Yeah. And that's the hard part, is because it's like I've been in this long enough that I've seen, like, I remember when I first got into scale, the scale side of RC, RCC, or was it was GSRCC, Golden State RC Crawlers. They took over the Scale Endurance series from, I think it was a group out of Reno. I want to say, I could be wrong. And because my very first GSRCC event was Scale Endurance number 4. And it was, it was like the first time I've ever been to anything that was like organized and, had some sort of like, direction of where you're going, like follow the tennis balls, numbers on one side, arrows on the other. And that went on for about, I want to say, a little over a year. And then, then it kind of fizzled out. I mean, they added a couple things to it, which took away some of, like, personally, I think it took away some of the fun, because everything that we're doing is basically a fun run. Like, you're going out, you're not going to get driver of the day. You're not going to get like the best 1.9 of the day, performance wise, because I remember with the GSRCC, that was something you did. Like, you had a little scorecard, and they loosely kind of like followed some of the Sorka rules. Like, you were able to add a certain amount of points to your card based on what scale accessories. Did you have a flat bed? Did you have metal bumpers? Did you have X amount of accessories, whatever? And then you have your 1.9 driver of the day, 2.2 driver of the day, and then you can get more points for, like, if you aided in a recovery, like you use your winch or toe strap to correct someone or flip them over, and you got X amount of points. So there was a lot of people that started cheating and started just making up shit on their cards, and it was sucking the fun away from what was going on. So of course you got the battling of, who did this, and like, who actually saw them recover this many vehicles, and who actually so there was a lot of arguing going on, and of course it sucked the fun out of it. And then eventually it just fizzled out, because they were just kind of like, we're over it. If you guys are just going to fight over it, and we're not going to do it. And that was one event that we lost, but at the time we still had Crawl for a Cure. Then we shortly after that had the Autism Awareness Crawl. So we were still having, NorCal events to look forward to. But this is going to be one that's going to be just like an ongoing series. So it'll be nice to see how long we can keep it going.
Rad. Well, I'm sure it'll take off in popularity. It's filling a huge void.
Yeah, and it already kind of is. The amount of, like, Elio couldn't believe it. Like, his first event, like when he first said he was going to do this at Folsom, I think he had like 15, 20 people tops showed up, and he was just, he was just stoked that people showed up, period. And, did the event, whatever. Then the second one, there was like 40 people there. Then it's like, it's just been like slowly growing, and the amount of people showing up, and the amount of people just like following the page so they can see, what's going on, and just watching that grow. It's just kind of like, it's cool to see how fast it's going, and, hopefully we can just keep that momentum going.
That's awesome.
So, yeah.
Well, it sounds like you guys are on the right track, so that's good.
Yeah. So, and I'm along, for the ride to help with however I can. So, and that's the cool thing about it. Like, everybody in the group, we all know it's like, we're like one big family. We all know we have, our immediate family and our jobs and our lives outside of this. So we're not always all going to be able to put in the same amount of effort and time. So sure. That's the cool thing about it, is it's just like, if someone's like, hey, this, this month I can't really help with this and this and this, but if there's anything like little you need, let me know. Or they just go, hey, I can't, be there this time, I'll be there next time. I mean, it's cool. It's like nobody's like holding anybody to the fire saying, you're part of this, it's ride or die, you got to do this or you're out. So
yeah, no, that's cool. Everybody gets it and understands that people have lives and families and stuff like that.
Yeah, it's very similar to like what we're doing with the show. We don't record every week. Like, is it possible? Yeah, but it's like, do you want to burn yourself out? No, we kind of already went through that for a while. So it's like, you just adapt and you take parts of, different aspects of what you're doing in different ventures and just kind of put them all together.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, that'll be good. I'm glad somebody's kind of carrying the flag for having scale events and stuff. I think one of the favorite things that I had up here when we had a club was doing like team trail runs where, it's like no hands, winch and tow straps, like super, super fun. You'd get points taken off for helping another team. And like, it was just really, really good fun. That was one of my favorite things to do, but
yeah, and that is something that we have kind of talked about. I know Dean's brought that up a handful of times, like doing like a 2-man tandem kind of thing. So some of these ideas we might like try at like the bigger event, like when we know we're going to have more time. Cause that's the other thing too, is like, we're trying to not bottleneck, the trail. So like if somebody just wants to go run and have fun, just go run and have fun. And then we might do like a small, like 20 gate, like that'll be the 2-man tandem, exactly like you're saying, like, if someone flips over, you got to use your winch or your toe strap to flip them back over. Can't use your hands kind of thing. We've talked about that. So it's a possibility that could, happen down the road. These are just all, like I said, we're still so new into it and still trying to just get a feel for how everything's going. I mean, there could be, you never know. We could start adding little stuff like that to each event, to every third event, the big event that now Elio wants to do, which I think is going to be good because I've kind of like, that was one thing I've kind of tried to like voice in his ear. And I know a couple other people have in the group. Like I think Rick and Sean both, and I think even Clint has said, we should do something a little bit bigger. So that way, if people want to camp, people want to be there for 2 days, multiple days, they can plan for it and, make it happen.
Multiple days with camping are rad. That's like the best possible scenario for having any kind of a comp. That's super, super fun.
Yeah. So, but the hardest part, just like even like Axial Fest was having for the longest time, is just finding a place that's one, affordable, or B, accessible, or even have the amenities to even, or the space to have you there, period. Because we never know, like I think this event, I think we had like something like 47, 50 people on Facebook said they were going, and we had a total of like 75 ish that showed up. So it's like, we can't just go, hey, it says that only, 40 people are going to show up, and then, and then tell some place, hey, we only need a place for like 40 people to show up to go camping, and then like we have like double that. And then we're like, oh, well, now we have no room. Like, so it's hard finding those big camping places that are, accessible and feasible to do this. That's the one hard part.
Yeah. It's a shame that people don't do the RSVP thing a little bit more often on events and stuff, because we had stuff like that where it's like zero interest that you're seeing on Facebook, and then the turnout ends up being just vastly different than what you thought it would be, and so you have to kind of make some adjustments along the fly to accommodate the extra people, and that's hard.
Yeah, no, it's very hard. But I also get it. It's like sometimes like, you don't know what's going on, and life throws you curveballs, and, you can't necessarily make it, but yeah, if you could, like, if people were a little more courteous of the RSVP, I guess it would make planning, and locations a little bit easier.
Yeah, definitely. Well, that's cool. I hope that that's something that just continues to get bigger and bigger and more frequent, because we definitely need it in this hobby.
Oh yeah.
Now more than ever.
Yep. And I definitely feel it will.
Yeah. Well, let me open up
Well, I was actually going to say, was it the last time we recorded or was it the time before that? I remember one night we recorded and then like literally the next day, I think Axial released a vehicle.
The last one we talked about the new 24th with the trailer, I think.
Okay.
The Power Wagon.
Then maybe that wasn't. No, that's what it was. We just got finished, and they and RC 4-wheel drive released the Miller U4.
That's right. Yeah.
Like the next day, and you're like, really? You couldn't have like released this like a day sooner?
Thing is pretty awesome. I'm pulling up the pictures of it here. I didn't know it was a 2.2 rig. I think it would be cooler as a 1.9 rig, but you know, hey.
But I think it's a very small 2.2 tire.
Is it?
Yeah, there was because like I said, there was one or two at the event, and I didn't actually go over and pick it up, but I just remember looking at it going, oh, there's the new RC 4-wheel drive rig. And I just know that those tires were not like, I think they were smaller than like the stock Wraith tires.
Good.
So, yeah.
It's a fantastic looking rig. They did a great job. I mean, there's scale details all over the place on it.
Oh, yeah.
Like the rear light bar with lenses. It's got a fuel fill hose. It's got fans with wiring and bump stops that look like they actually work, like little fake hydraulic bump stops. It's got limit straps. I mean, it is about as scaled out as you could possibly hope for. I mean, dash, seats, they did a fantastic job on it. It is a very, very detailed truck.
Well, I think even some of it, like down to like the placement of the sway bars, you know, like doing the whole like U4 style where it's at the very front, goes through a tube, you know, like I think even that attention to detail was pretty spot on. Like, I mean, I'm probably going to end up eating my words, but I don't recall another rig that's come out of the box with that much detail, you know, in that world, in the U4 world.
Yeah.
Because I know the Bomber was kind of like the first RC U4 style rig, and yeah, they had the scale or the rear sway bar that was pretty close, but they didn't have a front sway bar. And then the Gatekeeper doesn't have the sway bar details like that. So, like for scale realism, I think they nailed it.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's got decals on the dash. It's got GPS. You know, like the interior's all, you know, stickered out with the appropriate decals and stuff. I think I'm even seeing, can't tell if those are seat belts from the picture that I'm looking at, but it is just incredibly cool.
Yeah. The one thing, though, that I haven't looked up is what is the price for that?
I think it's $500. It's even got pedals. Okay. Wow. That is really cool. The one kind of weird thing about it, though, is I think, you know, it's got Method decals on it, but it has plastic Walker Evans wheels. I thought that was kind of strange. Wonder if that was a licensing issue that they were unable to resolve.
Yeah, I have no idea, but I'm zooming in on the tires, and what's actually kind of funny about these is, you know how like when you look at the side of like Proline's tires or even Axials, like they kind of try to make it look like it's a tire size, like it'll be like 3.7 by whatever by 1.9, like they kind of like try to give it that, like that's like the size. If you actually zoom in on the one picture, it straight up says 40 by 1350 R17. Like they went down to like that scale of like trying to get, you know, what a real tire has on the side of it, which I think is kind of funny.
Oh, that's cool. And they actually did a really good job making them look just like Nittos.
Yeah, they made them look just like Nittos, but they're not Nittos.
Yeah, that part's a bummer. But I mean, that's once you get to a certain point, you're kind of splitting hairs with this stuff, you know?
Yeah.
Looks like it's got a LS style pretend V8 up front, air filter and pulleys, and
I even like the U4 style, the side mirrors, the ones that are on the cage, and you can really tell that those things will bend in, so you're not going to bust them off.
Aren't those cool looking? Like, it's just, they did a fantastic job on this thing. They really did.
Now I wonder, does it really come with those limit straps, or did somebody add those?
I believe it has them. I think it comes with,
because it has that, and if you look right behind it, it's got the scale bump, the air bumps.
Yeah, and those look like they press in,
which is pretty cool.
Yeah, this thing's impressive. It really is. They did a nice job on that. And then I don't think, let's see, the last one we talked about, the new Element, that was the Nightwalker, the Freerunner style body with a spare tire. I can't remember if we talked about the Zool or not, which is their new one that is very like old school FJ looking, that's on the Ecto and Gatekeeper chassis. What else? What else we got? Wish I could sort these better.
Well, the other thing I wanted to bring up was, since we were still talking about RC4, or no, that's Red Cat. Red Cat also has those two new releases.
I think we talked about those last time.
Okay.
The Ascent.
Yes.
Yeah, we talked about the Ascent and then the hauler and trailer.
Yes. Okay. Well, that's my bad for not paying attention.
And we talked about the Vanquish Fordyce.
Yep.
So we got that last time. I think that might have been it as far as releases go.
Yeah.
Aside from some like there's I don't really follow any of the 124th scale stuff, and there's a lot of 124th rigs, and so admittedly, like all the smaller scale stuff, I really don't know what's new and what isn't, because I don't really pay attention to it. I mean, I know we should for the sake of the show, but I mean, it's just not something on my radar.
Yeah, but didn't you say Kyosho just came out with something small scale?
Yeah,
or 1/18th?
Yeah. What was that? I don't even remember what it was now.
Well, I'm gonna
go back. It was ridiculous, though.
We'll go back through our text. The Land Cruiser.
That's what it was.
The Land Cruiser 60. And that thing's like super detailed.
Yeah, it's nuts.
Which kind of like also irritates me. Like, I don't understand like what these, companies are thinking like when they're releasing all this stuff. And it's like, you're gonna come out with a scale rig, like, or you're gonna go through the trouble of, scaling out a rig, have it super scale, but you're gonna pick a scale size that's not super popular.
Yeah. Well, and that's what I thought about like the 112th stuff, but that's still kind of been steadily growing, but it's still not, it's still not where 1/10th is or 1/24th either, because 1/24th, there is a lot available on the market now. The 1/12th stuff and 18th is kind of lagging behind a little bit.
Yeah.
I don't know why the hell I can't find that thing on here.
It's in our chat or text.
Oh, I was trying to find it on AMain to go over some of the features with it. May have to go to their site. Is it in our Facebook chat, or is it the
text chat?
Oh, the text.
And it brings you to a Facebook link.
Huh. What the heck? Must be getting close. Let's see. Huh. I don't know. I can't even find it now. I'm all the way back to like the Axial 124th release. Huh. Crazy. Yeah, it was rad. That was what, Toyota Land Cruiser, wasn't it? And it was like opening doors and... Oh, there it is. You just sent it. Yeah, 18th scale. God, that thing's awesome, though. All 4 doors open. The rear barn door is open. The rear bumper rack with fuel cans and stuff swings away. That thing is just dialed. Did you notice the rear shock mounts at the axle? Like they even hang down like they do on a real car. It's got front mud flaps. Man, this thing has everything. I was hoping to see it on A-Main too to try and figure out like what the price point is on this thing. I can take a guess at it, but let's see. Yeah, I can't get it to come up on A-Main. That's weird. Are you still there?
Yes. Sorry.
Okay.
I had a coughing attack and I muted it. And,
okay.
And then I forgot to unmute it. And like, I'm talking with you this whole time. And like, you're like, not, I'm like, oh, that's why he's not saying it.
No, I was looking at the Facebook call going on and I was like, man, it says that I'm still here. Did I accidentally disconnect it when I was trying to find the Kyosho stuff?
No, it's because, like I said, it's because I didn't want to cough on air. So I muted it and then I forgot to unmute.
Yeah, that thing's not showing up at all on A-Main, so I'm going to look on Kyosho's website. If I had to guess, I'm going to say 250 retail. Okay, Kyosho America. Products or C-Car. Let's look under power. Oh yeah, there's the new Kyosho 10th scale. Dude, we talked about that one too, though, didn't we? The Tacomas, the ones that weren't really on a crawler platform.
Yes.
Okay, so we covered that. Man, I don't see that thing on their website at all with the other electric powered off-road stuff. Weird. Wonder why that is. Well, it's too bad.
Yeah, I wonder if it has something to do with like not being fully released.
That was a weird Kyosho site too. It was one of their like accounts that's overseas.
Huh.
Wow, I just cannot find that. they've re-released their Outlaw Rampage pre-runner trucks. It's like there's 2 color offerings for those. There's a green and a red. Yeah, no, I can't find that Land Cruiser anywhere on here now. Weird. Huh. Well, moving on then. Looks like Vanquish is doing some limited release pink anodized parts.
Yep, for Breast Cancer Awareness Month.
Yep. Stuff's always really cool.
So real quickly, I just Googled Kyosho Toyota Land Cruiser 60, and there's a couple off websites. Like there's Mint Models and all this stuff. They're advertising it as anywhere from it's like 225. That's pretty much like the middle. Then there's another one from this other live car model. They're saying that it's 250.
Yeah, that's about what I figured it'd be. For what you're getting, I don't think that that's out of the question. That's priced pretty appropriately. So much 124th stuff now. And it looks like that company Fury Tech, they're stepping up with all kinds of stuff. Looks like they have their own rig now. And another one that they had besides, I think, the Cayman, if I remember right.
Yeah, and then what is that? There's I don't even know how you say it. Meuse.
I guess.
Racing. Yeah. They're calling them aluminum ripper CNC machine one piece SCX24. So they basically ripped off the Vanquish Ripper and they're making a 1/24th scale chassis.
Which surprised me. I can't believe they're actually calling it the Ripper.
Yeah.
I mean, that's like, wow.
Yeah.
Wonder how Vanquish feels about that.
I'm almost wondering if they even care because it's 1/24th, but I don't know.
Still, it's kind of like, and you're just going to take our name and our design and make it smaller and sell it under the same name. Crazy. $259. I mean, it must be pretty nice for that price. They look kind of cool.
Yeah. Well, they're claiming just like the real Ripper, it's machined out of one chunk of aluminum. Yeah, I'm still on the fence. I know I've talked about it on our show before, of doing like the whole like performance out 1/24th build.
What you're wanting to, or
like, yeah, I've been on the fence. Like, do I do it? Is it a waste of money? Should I do it? Because it's like, I'm not going to actually try to like use it on a trail or anything, but I don't know. I go back and forth.
Yeah, that's kind of tough. I haven't sunk any money into the 24th stuff. I mean, I can't even tell you the last time I drove one of them.
Yeah, the most money I've sunk into it is on the JL, the 1/24th JL. I got wheels, knuckles, some 3D printed sliders, and spare tire carrier, and some other crap that I put on it. And I even think I did shocks on that one.
That's probably one of the first things I would do on mine is shocks.
So, and that's the most I've done to any of it. Like other than that, and I still haven't even really driven it.
Figures. That's the way it works, isn't it?
But yeah. But also what I think I'm going to do is look up our post because I'll probably jump into some questions.
Yeah, I know we had a couple. There's a lot of really cool wheels on the market now. Scrolling through here. Vanquish has a couple new KMC ones and stuff. Just some pretty rad offerings right now.
All right. Let me know when you want me to fire away.
Go for it.
Okay. So Paul Schulman, are you guys going to do new bumper stickers?
We need to. I need to update the sticker sheet with some bumper stickers and some things like that. I'll work on that. That's something I'm going to try and get done this next week.
Okay. Eric Warren, love the past show. I've missed a few and I'm slowly catching up. I put together a junkyard Capra 10-1 front axle, 10-2 rear axle, the Element XF transmission riding on small 2.2s with a Hobby Wing Fusion, and the XF has 18% overdrive, and because of the different generation axles, ended up close to 40%, which is way too much. So I want to change the trans to a 1-to-1 and eliminate the overdrive. I couldn't find anything on the web specific to the XF transmission. Do any of you have any ideas?
Yes, I will have to message him with that information and the part numbers. There's stuff to take the overdrive out of it and just have it be matched.
Gotcha.
So, Eric, I will get back to you on that.
And then Chris Trudeau, we all agree Jay is a bad influence, taking a page from his previous build and some influence from Scale Builders Guild and Harley Designs. Some friends of mine and I started a budget build challenge utilizing a G-Made R1 cage, and budget of $200 out of pocket excludes cost of the cage, which is estimated at $40. The idea is to build the most competitive comp buggy utilizing spare or cannibalizing retired rigs, trying to maximize current parts and spending money only if necessary. Curious if anyone has built one or done anything similar. You've used that cage. That was your Capra Killer build, right?
Yep. Yeah, it works really, really good. I'm a part of their group that they have for that. I don't know what you would call it, competition group, however they want to define it. But yeah, they're really fun. I mean, it's a cool, inexpensive way to make a moon buggy. I don't know. I mean, I would like to be able to go down and check it out and hang with them and do that. I just don't know because of I have definitely broken the cost cap on mine just because of all the stuff on it.
Yeah, but I think like they're saying that, because I was reading further, because I think you've commented on that. He's saying that you can steal electronics from previous rigs. So I think the 200 is only if you have to purchase new stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to put anything different in it for that, just because it is an absolute nightmare trying to get everything to fit under that and still have an interior. So yeah, no, I'll leave it alone. If they are cool with me playing with them, then great. If not, okay. But no, I'm not going to take it apart and put other electronics and stuff in it. That thing is good how it is.
And I believe that was it as far as any questions or comments.
I didn't look on Instagram.
I just did. There's nothing. There's nothing.
Okay. All right, cool. Nice.
The other thing to talk about, since it's now been announced / released since our last episode, is our press backpack.
Oh, the giveaway. Yeah.
So I'll let you, since you know all the detail, that you take away with all that.
Because we kind of talked about it last time. We're just trying to spread the word and get everybody to share it to all the different groups and stuff they belong to, whether it's, crawling or drifting. If it's Scale RC, we want to try and rope everybody in and get everybody to participate in this the best that we can. So, share our posts to Axial groups, RC 4-wheel drive groups, whatever you belong to. Let's try and get the word out, because it would be really cool to have like a big list of different social media accounts that people can go and check out. So it's kind of what we're hoping for here. We haven't had the shares that I was necessarily hoping for, but maybe that'll change.
Yeah, it'll change. How long, because I don't know, did you already say that? How long are you planning on having this go for?
We were going to run this for about a month.
Okay.
And then we'll figure out who the winner is. But that way it's, people have time to, participate, basically.
Yeah. Well, the other cool thing about it is, like, I never realized your loadout, the rig loadout kit. Like, I never realized like how practical that is.
Oh yeah.
Cause like, it's way better than my big carabiner that I have on the back of my backpack.
Yeah. I like it cause it carries them up high. That's actually something Trav and I were talking about yesterday, is getting those reintroduced on our website, and we're trying to figure out what we're going to do as far as packaging and stuff. But it is something that we want to continue to do, just cause it was super inexpensive and just easy as can be for carrying stuff, and it situates the weight a lot higher up on your bag than other options.
Yeah, which is nice, because like I said, I just have a big carabiner, and when I clip my rig on there, it's swinging so low that it like hits you in the back of the legs.
Yeah, that's no fun.
So yeah,
no, I'll get you some of that stuff sent out. I've got a whole big box of pieces for him that I picked up from Travis before he had moved, so
okay,
got all that here.
Yeah, it's like, what's funny also too is like, I almost need that backpack that you have, because I don't know if I think mine's got the Molly that high.
Oh yeah.
I don't know. I got the 511.
I got lucky and both of mine have it. I have my oldest backpack is my black one that is what I keep all my like camera and recording gear in. That one, I really, really liked the layout. I was unable to find it, and Amazon had a replacement, which is the one that we're doing the giveaway with. And I have a olive drab version of the giveaway one that is like my everyday backpack with like prescriptions and stuff like that in it. And I really, really like that thing. So I know whoever gets this is going to end up enjoying it, because it's been a super convenient bag to have.
Yeah, it definitely is. And like, that's the thing. Like, I don't know, I'm always a sucker for those, for the military style, the Molly backpacks.
Well, it's convenient. Like it's kind of funny. Like I'm sort of like messy when it comes to my workspace and stuff, but like when it comes to like backpacks and my RC stuff, I like having everything so organized. And that's one of the things that I've always really liked about tactical bags, is there's just a spot and a little place or pouch for everything, and like,
yeah.
If you outgrow your bag, you can add stuff on. Like one of the bags that I've got it's really small, and it's just a little Molly pouch bag that attaches to your backpack, but I keep course markers in it. And that way you can just, grab them, drop them down for a photo or whatever, and take your pictures and be on your way. So it's stuff like that's really nice. And I got another little pouch. It's just strictly full of GoPro parts, like mounts and stuff, and the little adapters and everything. So I've always been really fond of those, just because of the fact that it's kind of fun to organize all your stuff that way.
Yeah, no, and that's exactly like what I did. I have the 511, and since I'm not running the water bladder, my dot box from CowRC fits in there perfectly, and that's what holds all my spare parts. Like, I have anything from nuts to scale hardware, regular hardware, grease, servo horns, bearings, everything all fits in that box. And I have my little trail magnetic mini magnetic mat, so I could just, like, if you're doing a trail repair and you don't want to lose anything, you can just throw that down and do what you got to do. And yeah,
God, I need one of those for body clips. When I'm out crawling, I drop body clips so often.
Which actually, being in the construction world, what you should probably do, and I should probably do the same thing, is all you got to do is just get like a heavy duty kind of like magnet and something that you can hold on to and just kind of run it over the ground, and it'll pick it up.
Well, I was just thinking too, another good solution to that would be to just shoe glue or double stick tape a magnet to the inside of your body, like under the hood or the roof, and just dump them on that.
That used to be a popular thing, like especially up here. Like there was guys that like that's what they do. Like they glue one or to the roof of their rig, and then when they take their pins off, they'd set them there.
I'm gonna have to use that. That's a good idea.
Also, I've started leaning more towards like Elio's method of the magnets to hold the body on. So now the body pins are a thing of the past.
I have the worst. I've said this before, but I have the worst luck with magnet mounts.
Well, so the hard part is finding magnet mounts that work, that are like not too strong, but not too weak. Like I bought some that were just way too weak. And like if the body flexes enough, it pops off. And it's like, it's frustrating because you're like, okay, it feels strong enough. But then as soon as you're out crawling, you're like, yeah, it's not strong enough.
Yeah, I have them on our rally cars, a couple of them, and I'm actually going back to just normal body posts. It's like they're fine for light trail use and stuff, but like the second you jump them or anything like that, the body pops off, and I'm just so tired of it.
Well, I'll send you the ones that we're using because I have it on the Capra. Like I actually had like a butt pucker moment this weekend with that Capra because I don't want to, that's the one cool aspect of doing that hard body to it, is because it's like, it takes it from being kind of like a basher where you don't care about the car and you're just going to like, roll it over and this, that, to like, oh, okay, I don't want to blow the body up. So I got to kind of, drive a little more gingerly and like pick my lines better. And I was coming down an obstacle, and I was following Dan Sutherland, and I was like, you know what? I'm going to copy what he did with his Capra. I'm going to put the dig on, lock the rear axle. I'll use that as a brake to come down. Well, those boggers must have been just like sticky enough or grabby enough coming down that it wasn't working the same way his crawlers were. So I was just like, okay, this isn't working. So I tried to unlock the dig, and then, because it had load on it, I had to back off. So I tried to give it just a little reverse to take the tension off so it would pop out of the dig. And in doing so, the car just ended up just like doing like some, like, it just like looked like you just jumped off the rocks. Like it just like did this like front flip off. And I was like, oh, here we go. This thing's going to land and just explode. I said, I'm waiting for it. It landed perfectly on its tires. And I literally put my foot out in front of it, and it just like stopped right there. And Dan starts laughing, and he's like, that was a close one. And I said, yeah, you have no idea. So, funny. But what I'm getting at is the thing was totally like up in the air, and body was still where it's supposed to be. Nice.
That's good. I've had terrible luck, so I'll have to try something like that. We need to check out.
Yeah. But yeah, is there anything else you want to chit chat about, or?
I don't know. I'm trying to think.
Let our ghost producer know that we're done.
Yeah, I guess I can probably text him. I think I'm actually going to go crawling tomorrow after I go to the eye doctor.
Nice.
So that'll be good.
Yeah, as actually a matter of fact, I got to do some work to Rusty Nuts. So I decided to take it out, and I'm driving it. And then all of a sudden I'm like, I come up to like this, like almost a nothing rock. Right. And I'm giving it throttle, and it's just like the slipper's just like spinning. Like you're just like, and I'm like, what the hell's going on? I said, that like shouldn't be doing that. And like, I put my foot in front of it on the trail, and I'm giving it gas, and it's still doing it. I'm like, what is going on? So I look, and I'm like, I said, my slipper lock nut is like backed all the way to the end. And I'm like, but the bed of the headache rack portion of the bed is right there. So I'm like, okay. So I get my wrench out, I tighten it all the way up, like crank it down, go about another 12, 15 gates and start doing it again. And I'm going, this is a little weird. I'm like, why does it keep doing that? I think what's happening is the bed is so close that I think that transmission or something might be a little bit bent. And I think what's happening is as you're going forward, it's hitting the bed every once in a while. And when it does, it's essentially like stopping the output shaft, I guess you can say. So it's loosening the nut. And every time like you do it so many times, it just backs all the way off. So I got to pull that transmission out and I got to work on it. I'm either going to do like just do the old school slipper eliminator, or I might put a new lock nut on there with some Loctite and maybe clearance, like put a hole in the bed. So that way, like it's not hitting there.
Yeah.
So like, I just was like, man, I said, it was like getting frustrating because I was like, I couldn't figure it out for the longest time. Then I finally figured it out. I said, oh yeah. I said, it's contact. You could see like a little like wear mark on the bed. And I'm like, it must be like just like out of balance enough to like, or bent enough that it like not every rotation, but like part of the rotation's hitting. So it's just, yeah.
Crazy.
But it's just funny, the little things like you find like when you bust out a rig that you haven't driven in so long.
Yeah. I actually pulled my original OG SCX-10 down off the shelf and was going to get some wheels and tires mounted up and try and breathe some new life into it so that it can just sit on a shelf and not be driven again.
Yeah, I don't know. I've had that kind of what's the word? Like I've kind of had that like, I don't know, it's like epiphany or like, I just been thinking about like, I got so many builds that just sit now, like, that are done and somebody else could be enjoying them. And I'm just like, do I put them up for sale or do I just hold on to them?
I've thought about that too, but it's like, I don't know. I mean, especially, I don't know. I'd feel funny selling the stuff that I'd feel funny selling the stuff that we've built, especially if it's something that Element had sent, like, I don't know. I think if I do something, it'd probably end up I'd do like some giveaways or something instead.
Well, it's like, for instance, I have I have the Proline, what is that? The 56 Chevy or the one that came in the 2-piece, the C10.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
So I have that, my flatbed that I did for Axial Fest 2017. And I mean, same thing. I drove it. It's pretty much sat ever since. Like, I think I drove it at Axial Fest. I might have driven it at another event, and it's pretty much just sat ever since. And it's like, it's a cool build, but I'm just like, do I just let it sit there or do I get rid of it?
Yeah, that's tough. I mean, especially because like I like all the ones that I have. Like I really do. I mean, our Scout that we have, that thing is rad, but it just sits, but it's also a good tool for pictures and selling the Scout stripe decals and stuff. So I mean, I don't know, it's definitely something I'll have to like think more about.
And then like I've also debated on like, I have a Gravedigger AX or SMT monster truck, and it's like I've never driven it. I put the which I don't even know if I could get anymore. I put the Proline boggers, the 1.9s that are actually like, the huge 5-inch tire. I put those on there because I was going to turn into a mud truck, but it's like part of me is like, do I just get another set of SMT tires and wheels and throw it on there and just send it down the road, or like, I don't know. Cause it's just like one of those, I have 2 monster trucks. I also have the Max D, but the Max D, I got rid of the body and that one still has monster truck tires on it. And it's got another body that I was going to turn into a monster truck body, but it's just like, it just kind of sits. So I'm like, is it worth getting rid of?
I would hang on to it. I mean, if it was me, I would hang on to it because I have a soft spot for the SMT10 just because parts for them are a dime a dozen with it having the AR60 axles on it, Wraith axles. So, I mean, you can get gear sets and stuff for it all day long. You don't have to really worry about like hubs or knuckles forever, because I mean, that stuff is going to be around from the aftermarket for a million years, you know, with all the Chinese manufacturers and stuff making parts for them on Amazon and eBay and everything. So, I mean, it's a cool chassis, because to me, like, the big selling point with that particular chassis is the fact that you can make like a real cockpit in it. You know, like, you can take the Lexan driver figure out and stuff, and it's actually deep enough to where you can put a, you know, 3D printed or plastic, you know, racing bucket seat in it and do a dash and steering wheel. So that's the reason I like those. That with the LMT, you take the body off and it's like not scale looking, you know, like the SMT10, you could take the body off and run it without a body like they do for, you know, practicing and stuff with Monster Jam, and it looks just fine. You know, it looks like a normal monster truck. It's not the flat, you know, graphite or carbon plate chassis like the other ones are.
Yeah, so true. I mean,
that's one of the reasons why I like that one, is it's just, you can make a pretty darn scale build with those.
Yeah.
And plus, it'd be nice to have a parts rig. Like, I mean, that way you've got, you know, you pretty much indefinitely have one you'll be able to drive forever if you feel like it. And they are fun. I mean, they're a good time. And J Concept still makes a lot of cool shit that'll fit on them. So that's nice.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. It's one of those, it's like, you just wonder, like, it's like, So
I think if I ever got bored with one of them, I'd turn it into a mega truck, like a mud truck.
Yeah, which is pretty much what happened with the Grave Digger, was because I was like, oh, I'll turn it to a mud truck because I already got a monster truck. So just never.
Problem is finding mud to go drive in.
Yeah.
You know, like, unless you're wheeling up in the mountains. Like, for me, it's hard to find like a spot with, like, you know, a dirt road or a big puddle or whatever. Like, it's just not really something that's around where I live.
Yeah. I mean, I could actually take mine to the job site and just when it's raining and just go to town.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, there's a whole, like, it's all dirt and mud.
That'd be fun with the rift too. You know, when they're like digging out foundations, like doing the footings and stuff, you could have some pretty fun dirt piles and stuff to mess around on.
Yeah. Which is another thing I've considered putting up for sale, because I haven't driven that since the rock bouncing at Donner.
Yeah. I kept my 1.9 version, but I sold the 2.2 version. So. Just because it sat for like well over a year after the last time I had driven it. So it's like, you know, this should just go to somebody else that's going to get some use out of it.
Yeah, no, I hear you. And then I'll make official posts later. But if anyone's listening, I'm going to kind of give them, like, obviously they're going to get like first dibs in listening to all this. Michelle's dad is putting up his UMG 6x6.
Oh boy.
For sale, and he's putting up his Wraith 1.9.
That's one rig that I probably should have kept, was a 1.9 Wraith. That thing was so cool. A 1.9 Wraith with that Element Stealth XF trans, that's the forward motor one. My God, that would be beastly. I mean, the 1.9 Wraith is super capable to begin with, but like putting that trans in it and stuff, oh my God, that'd be a monster.
Yeah, it's just one of those. It's like, so now that he's got the Capra, like, he's like that's his latest purchase. So he listened to all of us talk about the Capra so much that now he's like, I want one. So he ended up with the 4-wheel steer one.
Yeah.
And he's like obsessed. Like, he's like, this is like the best car that I've ever driven. He goes, I don't even need to drive anything else. So that's kind of why he started putting everything else up for sale. Cause he's like, this is like the best thing since sliced bread. And I'm like, well, when I got my Capra 4 years ago, I tried to tell you that. And you didn't listen to me.
They were good cars.
You could have been having this much fun 4 years ago.
I wish they would have done the rear steer right from the beginning. That would have been crazy.
So I do got to say, that is the one thing I am a little jealous with, is because he's got the actual rear steer, or the 4-wheel steer version. So his cage is all cut and modified, or, well, it comes that way. So mine bottoms out because the cage wasn't designed, you know, for 4-wheel steer. So I also don't know if that hinders some of my performance. I'm sure it does, but.
Yeah, because it's the fuel cell in the back makes contact with the.
No, it's the actual. No, it's the actual cage.
Really?
Yeah, the fuel cell is not a problem. It's the cage.
Interesting.
Yeah.
And that's something they corrected on the 4-wheel steer one that you buy?
Yeah, when you buy the 4-wheel steer, it's a whole different cage. The whole back end is different.
Really? I didn't realize that. I thought it was just like one little piece. Wow.
No, because the way that cage is, you have the driver side and passenger side, front to rear main portion. So those two pieces changed because once it gets past the belly pan, it goes up similar to the normal Capra, but then it keeps going up at that angle. So it gets you up higher. Then the crossbars are a little higher, and then the back little piece is a little higher. So it's got clearance for the axle to go up and, articulate, and the servo doesn't hit any of that.
Oh, rad.
But on the regular Capra, I haven't found a clean way yet to modify it so that way you can have all the clearance without making it look like you chopped the crap out of it.
I'll have to look at my buddy Jared's because he has an OG Capra that he added rear steer to. I'll have to look at his next time he's got it out.
So, I mean, there are some people that just don't care, and they what they've done is they've cut part of the bracing, because the bracing at the back is mounted in, I guess you could say, 4 places, but it's 1 bar. It's almost like 2 bars with webbing in between it, I guess the best way to say it. Mm-hmm. And what people have done is they've hogged out the webbing and just have the one at the top. But to me, it just looks unfinished then, because you got these 2 spots that are supposed to be like a receiver for another cross member, and nothing's happening there.
Oh,
so that's why I didn't do it.
Right.
Just looks incomplete to me.
Yeah, no, that makes sense.
So, but which is still kind of sad that they're those cars are getting harder and harder to find. When I was asking him when he wanted a Capra, I said, A-Main only has the 4-wheel steer version. I said, or you can get the OG, but that one is, but that one you can only get from Horizon. I couldn't find it on anybody else's site.
Oh, wow.
So it's it's sad, because I believe that's on the chopping block as far as cars that are going to be discontinued.
Wow.
So,
Boy, the 4-wheel steer one isn't cheap, is it?
That's like $529.
Yeah.
So.
Expensive. Well, I think we've covered just about everything. I'll message Trav really quick then.
Paging Travis.
I guess to wrap things up, I just wanted to reiterate, we would really like it if you guys could share the post for the contest, try and pull some people in. This is something that'll, we're hoping will benefit a lot of people in the hobby, and it's a good chance to win some cool stuff. So let's get some stuff shared, share the posts, make everybody aware, share your social media accounts so that you can get more followers and viewers, and everybody can grow. So anyways, that's it for me.
Yeah. I know the guys with Scale Challenge West are super stoked that we're talking about this event in this episode. So as soon as this goes live, I told them I would share it to the page.
Oh, nice.
So, which will also in return hopefully bring some more interest in the backpack giveaway.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
So, yeah.
Sounds good. Well, alrighty, guys. Well, we will catch you next time.
Sounds good. See you guys later.
See ya.